Have you ever fallen asleep while you prayed He Rosary? Maybe you were kneeling with the counts between your fingers, pronouncing each Hail Mary with devotion, and without give you account, the darkness of the sleep enveloped you. When you opened the eyes, the prayer had finished, or maybe neither, not even do you remember in what moment the you lost. Most think that's just tiredness, something physical, normal. But then what if it doesn't? Out. What if that moment of sleep outside, in reality, a battlefield invisible? What if in that apparent rest you were being attacked or protected? Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, the Italian mystic who carried the stigmata of Christ. I did not see that phenomenon as something banal. For him, falling asleep while praying, it could be a sign, a message of the sky or of the hell. This man who spoke with angels and fought demons, who would confess for hours and see the secrets of the soul, taught that the Rosario was not a simple prayer, but a weapon, a sword that cuts the darkness, a fire that burns the enemy. And that is precisely why so many, just when praying it, fall asleep. Today, we are going to enter into that mystery. Let's find out why he dreamed. In middle of the prayer, it can be much more than a sign of exhaustion. Maybe it is a whisper from on high or an ambush from the abyss. Get ready. What you're about to discover could change forever the way you hold your rosary evening. Close the eyes for a moment and try to remember. One night, anyone. Silence reigns in the house. You take your rosary with the purest intention, to pray, to give thanks, to intercede. The rhythm of the you count between your fingers, the soft murmur of the sacred words, and without give you account, the dream catches you. When you wake up, you don't know if you finished the second mystery or not. Not even you passed of the first. It's a scene that repeats itself for many. Some feel guilty, others frustrated. But it is true that very few dare to ask, why does this happen? Padre Pio did not do, it was unaware. He knew him closely. Throughout his life, he heard the confessions of thousands of souls who arrived with that same restlessness. Father, I'm falling asleep while I pray. And the answer was not a reproach, but a revelation. The enemy hates that you pray He Rosary. He will do everything possible to distract you, to make you give up, even using the dream. For him, it was not simple laziness. It was a spiritual phenomenon. And he wasn't the only one who did. He claimed, several saints and exorcists throughout the ages, they pointed out that the moment of the prayer is, many sometimes, when it intensifies the most spiritual struggle. Because when pray, you touch the heart of God, and that makes hell uncomfortable. Now think, why precisely when you pray do you feel that weight in the eyelids? Why right in half? From Hail Mary, your mind disconnects, your body gives up. Maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's war. And the most mysterious thing of all is that according to some mystical souls, there are moments in those who are that sleep does not come of the enemy, but from above, as if God himself, in his infinite tenderness, said, rest, I will complete what your body cannot finish. Falling asleep praying can be an act of surrender, but it's not always defeat. Sometimes it's surrender. Sometimes it's protection. And to understand why that has so much weight, we need grasp the dimension of the Rosary, because it is not a prayer it's a battle, and nobody it understood better than Padre Pio. For many, the Rosary is a repetitive prayer. For others, a tradition, ancient, that has lost its meaning. But for Padre Pio, the Rosario was spiritual dynamite. Do not pass a single day without praying the Rosario, he repeated tirelessly, had always in his hands. He slept with it. He prayed even during the confessions, between tears and battles of the soul. When they asked how many rosaries I prayed daily, I answered with humility, sometimes 30, sometimes more. It depends on the time that I have and of the battles I face. Because yes, for him, praying was fighting, and the rosary, the sharpest sword against evil. Respected exorcists in the church confirm it same. The demons they hate, he rosary. They can't stand it, hear his words. They do not tolerate the mention of the name of Mary. According to testimonies collected in exorcisms, each Hail Mary is like a whip of light that burns, breaks chains, wounds the darkness. Padre Pio, I knew, and that's why I taught that each account of the Rosary is a blow, an echo of spiritual victory, a weapon that depends not on human strength, but on fidelity. And the more someone pray it, more awake the rage of the enemy. You understand? Now why do so many people feel sleep, distraction, impatience just when they take a rosary in your hands? Why do they suddenly appear? Calls, noises, scattered thoughts, or simply a deep sleep? Because the rosary is uncomfortable, because it shakes the invisible world, and because every word addressed to the Virgin Maria has a weight that goes beyond what we can understand. It is no coincidence that the apparitions of Fatima turn around the prayer of the Rosary, that the victory of the Christendom in Lepanto has been attributed to its strength, that so many saints have been raised as the weapon of choice for these times. Padre Pio was not an academic theologian. He was a man of the pain and of spirit, and he, more than anyone, felt in his flesh the power of that prayer, a prayer so simple that makes hell tremble. And now that you know what the Rosary for the spiritual world, you are ready to understand something even deeper. Why do we sleep while do we pray it? And mean those three causes that, according to the saints, reveal the true origin of that dream. Falling asleep while praying, some see it as a weakness, others as a lack of discipline. But Padre Pio and many saints interpret it in a way very different, because not every dream is the same. And today you will discover the three causes that may be behind this mysterious numbness. Three doors toward the invisible world, one of them absolutely natural, and the two others deeply spiritual. First cause, the body-speech natural fatigue. We live in a fast-paced world, exhausting days, stress, family worries, financial problems, hidden illnesses. All of this weighs on our shoulders when we sit down to pray. It is natural that after an intense day, the body says, I can't take it anymore. Fatigue is a real and legitimate cause, and the saints did not despise this reality. Jesus fell asleep in the middle of a storm in the boat. Sleep, as a biological function, is not a sin. It is a necessity. But what if the tiredness appears only when you pray? What if just when you begin the Rosary, a burden invisible falls on you? Here we enter the second cause. The second cause, the enemy acts, spiritual attack. Padre Pio had no doubt Rosario unleashes a war, and like every war it has an enemy that does not sleep. Many exorcists report cases of people who only feel sleepiness, anxiety, or confusion when trying to pray. Some fail to finish even a decade without fall asleep, although are perfectly awake to watch TV or use the mobile for hours. The enemy does not always attack with force. Sometimes their tactics are more subtle: distraction, boredom, forgetfulness, or dream. Because if he manages to interrupt your prayer, he disconnects you from the source. And disconnect of the Rosary is, in a way, disarm you. That sudden drowsiness, without logical cause, could be an attempt by the adversary to silence you spiritually, to make you lower your guard, to prevent each Hail Mary from turning into an arrow of light. Have you passed fighting with all your forces against the I dream only during the Rosary, so you could be in the middle of a battle invisible? The third cause, the darling intervenes, divine protection. And here we come to the most tender mystery and most disconcerting. There are times when God, in his infinite mercy, allows you to fall in a dream sweet while you pray, not as punishment, but as refuge, because he knows your interior. He knows when you are praying with the torn soul. He knows when your tears weigh more than your words, and there are nights in those where simply the Father takes your soul in his arms and says, "Go to sleep. I'm done the Rosary with you." This kind of dream leaves no guilt, It leaves peace. It is gentle, protective, as if the soul will float in a sacred rest. The mystics, they describe it as an induced spiritual rest, where the soul remains united to God, even while he body sleep. So, the next time you fall asleep praying, don't be so quick to judge yourself. Observe. Were you exhausted? Was it a sudden sleep, almost inexplicable? Did you feel peace or confusion? Because behind every rosary interrupted by the dream, there may be more than you imagine. It may there be a sign, a battle, or a divine embrace. And now that you know the causes, you need to see how far arrives the power of the rosary in the history, because it not only transforms souls, it has also changed the course of the humanity. The rosary is not just a private, whispered practice in silence by devotees in churches empty. It is a living stream of spiritual power which over the years, centuries, has arrested armies, defeated epidemics, and saved civilizations whole. An example immense and almost forgotten is the Battle of Lepanto in 1571. The forces Christians, they were outnumbered, outgunned, and out-experienced by the fleet of the Ottoman Empire. The victory, it seemed impossible. Pope Pius V, aware that it was not enough the human strategy, ordered the entire Christianity that prayed the rosary for the salvation of Europe. Thousands of people, humble and noble, religious and peasants, joined together in a Marian supplication that crossed borders, and so impossible occurred. October 7th, the forces Christians obtained a decisive victory. The chronicles narrate that the winds changed inexplicably in favor of the Christians just after a mass prayer of the Rosary. The Pope instituted so the Feast of Our Lady, Lady of the Victories, which later would be called Our Lady del Rosario. Because it was her rosary, not the weapons, the one who bowed the scale, and it wasn't the only case. In Fatima, in 1917, the Virgin appeared to 3 shepherd children and asked again and again, "Pray he rosary every days to get peace and end of the war." Who asks, that is, if it is not because he knows his power? The rosary has been, since then, the favorite tool of the humble, of the invisible, of those who do not have political power, but move he darling with your prayers. Saints such as Maximilian Kolbe, Lucia of Fatima, John Paul II, and of course, Padre Pio, held he rosary as a shield. Exorcists report that the demons, in the middle of a demonstration, beg for it to stop the prayer, especially when the sentence is pronounced, "Name of Mary," because the rosary, according to those testimonies, hits, breaks. And it doesn't just break external chains, it also frees internally. Those who they pray with devotion. The rosary transforms, calms the anxiety, renews the hope, opens paths of light. So why do we feel sleepy when we pray it? Because you are wielding a weapon that the enemy fears. Because you are entering into a sacred place and dangerous. Because every Hail Mary is not a repetition empty. It is spiritual dynamite. And now that you know what it represents, you are ready to learn how to resist when fatigue appears. Because it is not about avoiding dream. It's about resisting with faith. Padre Pio knew the human soul. He knew that it is not always easy to stand firm in the prayer, especially when body tires and the mind falters. Therefore, beyond his deep spiritual knowledge, he also offered tips practical, not for the prayer out perfect, but persevering. To whom it is given, they approached in anguish, saying, "Father, I cannot pray the rosary without I'm going to sleep." He didn't respond, not with harshness, but with compassion. And then he said, "Pray as you can, not as you can't. The important thing is not to stop praying." Here are some of their simplest and most powerful strategies. Pray standing. When dream is very strong, changing your posture can transform the experience. Praying while standing helps you stay more alert and aware. Walk while you pray. Padre Pio especially recommended in the night. Walk slowly, with rosary in the hand, transforms the prayer in movement, active body and the attention. Divide the rosary. You don't have to pray it all at once. You can pray a portion of it for the morning, another at noon, and another in the evening night. The important thing is to complete it with devotion, not with hurry. Invokes the Virgin before beginning. My mother, help me to stay awake and attentive. This simple supplication made with the heart, it can change everything. Pause and breathe. Between mystery and mystery, be silent. Breathe deeply. Allow each word to penetrate your soul. Padre Pio did not demand perfection. He taught faithfulness, because I knew that even a weak prayer, prayed with love, has an echo in he darling. And when he dream wins you over, if still you hold he rosary between your fingers, if your heart remains connected although your eyes close, God continues the prayer with you, because you are not praying alone. And when you learn to fight even with dream, you are beginning to pray like the saints. At some point we have felt fragile. The body is tired, the mind is scattered, the soul wants to pray but falls. He dream. And in the middle of that fragility arise the questions, am I failing God? Am I being attacked? Or is there something deeper behind this dream? The truth is that not always there is only one answer. Sometimes it is a natural weakness of the body. We are human and God knows it. He created us with limits. He is not shocked by our fatigue. But others times that a sudden, illogical dream can be a sign of spiritual struggle, a symptom of an invisible war raging in your soul, a hint that something or someone doesn't want you to end that war. Prayer, and in special moments, it can be a caress of the darling. There are people who, when they fall asleep praying, feel a deep peace upon waking up, as if had been held up by something or by someone, as if, even in his dream, their souls would have continued praying in silence. Padre Pio said that the persevering prayer, even with distractions or tiredness, has more merit than the prayer perfect without effort. God does not seek recitals. Look for sincere hearts. So if you fell asleep praying, don't blame yourself right away, but don't ignore the sign. Observe your life. Do you have trouble praying? Do you experience inexplicable obstacles, sudden illnesses, family tensions, inner turmoil? They could be signs of an ongoing spiritual battle. And the Rosary is your shield. And if while praying you fall asleep, but you wake up with the soul at peace, without confusion, without anguish, maybe it was God watching over you while you were just trying to get to him. Because sometimes falling asleep praying isn't surrender, it's trust. As a child falling asleep in his mother's arms, knowing he is safe. Fall asleep while you pray the Rosary is not a coincidence. It is an echo of something bigger. It may be the whisper of the body, the roar of the enemy, or the silent embrace of God. Every night, when you take that Rosary between your fingers, you are entering a mystery that goes beyond words. You are touching the heart of the sky, and sometimes waking up the rage of the hell. But you are not alone. Padre Pio, the saints, the Virgin same. Everyone accompanies you in that invisible combat. And if you've ever fallen asleep while you prayed, maybe you didn't fail. Maybe simply you were wrapped in divine tenderness. Now I ask you, have you passed? Have you felt that dream strange just while praying? Do you think it was tiredness or something else? Tell it in the comments. Your story can enlighten someone else. Share this video with who you need to understand that even the dream can be sacred. And if you want to discover more mysteries like this, subscribe now. Here we reveal what many prefer be quiet, and so we do with faith, respect, and truth, because the prayer doesn't end when you fall asleep. Sometimes it's right there when begin he true miracle.